My name's Ed Lin. I'm a writer and author of 3 books, and you're watching Channel APA right now. I've always been a writer ever since I was a kid. I don't even remember a time when I wasn't reading or writing. I was writing when I was in 1st and 2nd grade, really terrible poems. I would say that poetry is kind of the essential base in which you learn writing, and something that eclipses fiction writing as well, and nonfiction. Poetry is sort of like the bedrock on which all other writing is built upon. I first got published because, it's a funny story, I had this manuscript and I'd been sending it out to agents, and a lot of these agents would write back and say, "You're crazy if you think anyone's going to publish this." So one day I went to this panel called How to Get Your Book Published, and on this panel there was Sun Young Lee of Kaya Press, and I told her afterwards, I was like, "Hey, I have this really crazy book, I want you to check it out." And so they actually took a look at it and they liked it, and it was published as Waylaid. Well, Waylaid is sort of based on my childhood, living at a hotel and working there. I think the thing about Waylaid is that I felt that a lot of fiction out there, a lot of Asian American fiction, didn't reflect my childhood, my experiences of growing up. And for a lot of other Asians, if you're here and you're like 2nd generation, chances are pretty good that your parents run a business and you work there as a kid as well. You're the employee who can never be fired or quit. You're working there like 24/7. Whether it's a hotel or if it's a restaurant or if it's like a laundromat or something, you're totally working there. And so you kind of go to school, and when you come home from school, you have this other job. And that's one thing that I felt really compelled to write about. This Is a Bust is something that I worked on for a couple of years. I actually started writing This Is a Bust even before I was done with Waylaid. Waylaid is like this really crazy external kind of book, and This Is a Bust is more withdrawn, more internal. The first draft of This Is a Bust actually didn't even have any dialogue in it. It was all just a series of thoughts of this policeman. I wanted it to be kind of an active detective kind of book, but I started going backwards, and I was writing more and more backstory to this character. And so this backstory became This Is a Bust. And what I really wanted to do with it became my current book, which is Snakes Can't Run, which was just published earlier this month. So yeah, and the thing is, I said it in 1976 because it's the 200th, it's a bicentennial of America, but also it's a very pivotal year for Chinese America as well. Like Mao was about to die, Chiang Kai-shek has already died, Zhou Enlai has already died, so you have these major figures from the Chinese Civil War in 1949 who are dying off, and then at the same time, in Chinese communities all around the world, the KMT, the Kuomintang, basically had hegemony over it, but now it seems that the momentum is shifting towards the People's Republic. The People's Republic has already replaced Taiwan in the United Nations, and it just seems inevitable in 1976 that eventually the U.S. is going to establish formal diplomatic ties with the mainland and leave Taiwan out in the cold. So it's a very, things are very up in the air. It's a chaotic time. Snakes Can't Run kind of starts off with Robert Chow. He is called to the scene where there are 2 undocumented aliens who are found dead under the Brooklyn Bridge overpass. And basically, the snakes that the title refers to are snakeheads, who are pretty much the figureheads in terms of like smuggling people into the country, and people who prey upon their own people. Chinese exploiting Chinese. It was something I wanted to explore because it's something that still happens. It's not only in terms of like smuggling people into the country, but it's also stealing waiters' tips, underpaying people, not allowing people to unionize, and I kind of wanted to, it's a bit of a study in terms of like how horrible Chinese people are to ourselves. There could be a sequel to Snakes Can't Run, but I'm working on other stuff too. But ideally, I'd like to have a series going, and then also like kind of one-off books as well. I want to say you should totally support Giant Robot. They are probably the greatest magazine ever made in the history of humankind. You should totally check out the magazine, subscribe, and patronize the stores and the restaurant, which I'm sitting in right now. Greets? Is it called Greets or Greats? Hey, it's a great place. It doesn't even matter how you pronounce it or what it's called. You should come out and eat here.